All right, hi everybody. We're gonna give the live stream a minute to get going, and we'll get started. We're gonna
I'm going to locate my laptop for a second.
Get going, and we'll get started. We're gonna give the live stream.
Locate. This is my high-tech laptop stand for Zoom.
Making use of everything you've got. That's great. All right, looks like we're live.
Really well.
Well, hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Liz Chamberlain. I'm iFixit's Director of Sustainability. If you're here, you probably heard the news. New York just passed the first ever electronics right to repair bill. This bill will make parts, software, and documentation for electronics available to all New Yorkers starting in mid-2023. This is awesome news for everyone in New York. It'll let people fix their own stuff. It'll bring competition back into the repair market. But even for those of us not in New York, it's a really good sign. It's likely that many of us will benefit from the documentation and software that manufacturers are required to make available by this bill. This one is also coming on the heels of another big right to repair victory. A powered wheelchair right to repair bill passed this week in Colorado also. The governor just signed it yesterday. We think that these two victories are probably going to be the first of many. They're a sign of big things changing in the repair world for the better. So here with me today, I've got the leaders of the US right to repair movement who've been fighting for years for this. So let's go around and do some introductions. Tell us a bit about how you got into this fight. I've got Nathan first on my screen.
Hey everybody, my name is Nathan Proctor. I'm with PIRG. I'm the Senior National Campaign Director on the Right to Repair. How did I get started? I don't know. Gay and Kyle let me join the party. We were looking at campaigns that really were at the intersection of standing up to big tech companies and protecting the environment and giving consumers taking the power back in terms of our relationship with tech. And then as soon as we saw Right to Repair, we knew that this is a campaign we wanted to go big on. And so we've been mobilizing our network of state groups to support Repair.org's Right to Repair legislation. And we've become, we just become a really close partnership with iFixit and Repair.org over the last couple of years, as well as many of the other folks who are tuning in and will hopefully join us briefly, and have just been awesome people to work with us. We're just fighting to let people fix their stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. I've got Kevin next.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kevin O'Reilly. I work with Nathan over at PIRG on our Right to Repair campaign. I got started in this. I'm a former engineer, decided to go into advocacy because I wanted to, help bridge the ponds that we see our politics kind of coming forth. And I remember in my first week of training, Nathan actually came in and gave a presentation on this idea of being able to fix your own stuff. I was totally bought in. I love this idea. I'm excited about the way that this victory in New York was bipartisan, almost nearly unanimous, right? This is something that not only is going to be good for consumers and the environment, but is helping to, find a way to move things forward and work together regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on. So really excited to be here, really excited about the win today.
Thank you. Kyle next.
Well, we've been fighting this at iFixit really from the beginning. From the first time I was trying to fix my laptop and couldn't find an Apple service manual, and learned that it was lawyers that were standing between me and my ability to fix things. We've been trying to equalize the playing field, and the problem that we found at iFixit is it doesn't matter how many repair manuals we write, we can't keep up with the pace of new product introductions. There's just too many gadgets. So couldn't be more thrilled with the coalition and what we've achieved. Really excited to be here.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Gay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm one of those beginning kind of people. I began a little later in life than Kyle, but same kind of problems. I had been in an industry where people bought and sold and leased and reused and resold and even repaired lots of high technology. So when manufacturers started making that impossible, I'm like, that's wrong. And I was in a position in life where I could try to do something about it. So my first my first tiptoeing into advocacy was saying this is wrong. And it's definitely been a 10-year journey for me so far. So I'm so excited that on my 10th anniversary, we finally get this going. I think maybe for Kyle and I, it's maybe only been about 8 years, but it feels we've been a family for a while.
So you touched on this a little bit already in that response. You've been fighting this for a decade, almost a decade. How hard was this fight? How hard was it to get here?
If I'd known how hard it was going to be, I probably wouldn't have started. Kind of the difficulty crept up on us. We were constantly tantalized by getting the attention and then getting a bill filed and then getting a committee hearing. And it all seemed like we were always making forward progress when in fact we were, just didn't have any appreciation for how long and how much forward progress was necessary. I think when we first started working on Right to Repair, nobody knew what the heck that was. We didn't even have the ability to poll it, but the name recognition was probably in the single digits. And then a year or two into it, somebody said, "Oh, you've got 15% name recognition." We're like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And now it's up far enough that we actually got to build on. So it's been a long, consistent, steady forward momentum that's let us get here.
Well, and this is a question maybe for everyone to chime in on. How did it happen in New York? What's the story of this bill?
Well, since I was the one that got it started in New York, I guess I should say how. One of our members of the early part of the coalition was friends with a state senator in New York, and he approached his friend and said, "I want you to file a bill for Right to Repair." And his friend said, "Sure." So that's how we got started in New York. We had kind of a similar experience in Minnesota, where a friend called their friend, a state senator. We got a bill filed. It was a little less. It was similarly the case in Massachusetts. That's how most of these bills got started, was somebody knew somebody. Because you have to have a way to claw your way in. And
Yeah.
when we started, we didn't even know how to start the claw.
Well, and I mean, the opposition is just unprecedented. We had $2.5 trillion of market cap registered to lobby against this bill.
By the way, that's the old number.
Oh,
Last time I checked, it was close to $11 trillion in market cap.
So just the amount of opposition and intransigence on this has been ridiculous. And we've had manufacturers, we've had Apple flat out lying to lawmakers and saying that if people could fix their phones, they would blow up on them. Saying that if Right to Repair was introduced in Nebraska, it would turn the state into a mecca for hackers. I mean, just flat out ridiculous claims. And we've had to, battle them systematically one at a time. It's impressive to me, kind of looking at the final vote. Gay, what was our final vote in New York?
In the assembly this afternoon, it was 145-1.
So having that level of fear, uncertainty, and doubt and chaff thrown at us, and then be able to basically unanimously overturn that is impressive. But I think it also shows, like, if this is a unanimous consensus issue and it took us 10 years to get there, how much power these companies have behind the scenes. Right, because we're not losing votes. We've been working at Right to Repair for years. We're not losing floor votes on this.
And that goes to, to steal one of your lines, Kyle, that I love, right? People don't oppose Right to Repair. Corporations oppose Right to Repair. And like you were saying, right, to build up the group of people to have, repair shops and tinkerers and all these people calling in and reaching out to their legislators, right? That takes some time to build that up. But it was really amazing to see, thousands of emails and phone calls being made into New York legislators' offices over the past couple of weeks, with, special thanks to groups like Consumer Reports and EFF and Open Media and so many others who got the word out and really activated their membership to call on their legislators to pass this. it took a long time to build up that support and build up the name recognition and get the media attention necessary. But it's really amazing to see it all culminate now in such an emphatic victory.
Let's talk some about what this bill means, what it means for New Yorkers, what it means for people outside of New York.
Well, I am a New Yorker, and it means that I, sooner than most, will have the ability to buy any parts that I need for whatever it is I want to fix, and the tools and the documentation and the diagnostics and so forth. So it's an immediate benefit for me, but I think what will happen is that it's almost a 24-hour delay. If I can buy a part in New York, Kyle will be able to buy that same part and have it shipped to California. I think some of the limitations that people think are going to happen won't happen. This bill should have an impact nationally, if not internationally, the moment it becomes implemented. And that will relieve a lot of pressure on our difficulties with repair.
I was also going to say,
go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to, the fact that there's a whole set of devices for whom manufacturers in 1 year from the governor signing the bill will be required to provide access to the parts, tools, and service information. In politics, like going first is like, nobody wants to go first. And so the fact that New York has said, okay, Apple, whatever, let us fix it. I think that there's a lot of other states that are looking at this and saying, there's a lot of states which, like, their principal opposition argument against doing this in their state was like, well, we can't go first as Vermont or New Hampshire or, states with a smaller population size, maybe they didn't have as big of an AG office as New York, which has the capability of standing up to Apple if they decide to, play some funny business. So I'm excited. Like, I think that this just opens the door. We're kicking down the door here and ushering in like kind of new day. And we're not going away either. We're going to keep trying to expand people's right to repair till we get everything people need to fix everything.
Yeah, the New York bill does not include electric wheelchairs, but it should. And fortunately, we passed an electric wheelchair right to repair bill yesterday in Colorado. So this is very exciting. This is, hugely important. If you think about what does it take to comply, what does the right to repair law ask for? It says, hey, if you're selling products in New York, you need to make parts, tools, and information available. The information needs to be available free of charge. And so most manufacturers are just going to put it up on their website. That benefits everyone around the world, whether you're in Texas or Finland, you can benefit from public repair documentation. So we're really hoping that this, on the information side, immediately starts opening it up everywhere. And we've seen this, like Samsung has started posting service manuals in France in response to the French Repairability Index. Those are available anywhere. They're in French. So maybe now they'll post the English ones.
And in addition to that, right, this, the outcome for consumers for independent repair shops is really exciting. I work a lot with farmers and hospital repair technicians who are facing these same kind of problems. And those categories of equipment weren't included in the bill. But nonetheless, the momentum for just the broader right to repair movement is really building. And this kind of law passage, to have it happen in New York, to have it happen at this time, I think is going to carry over into those other categories, so that farmers can fix their tractors if they're storm threatening and they need to, and their tractor is broke down, or hospital repair technicians have a broken ventilator and they have to wait days for a manufacturer technician to come out. Those kind of things are going to change because of this huge win in New York is going to help drive the movement altogether forward.
So let's talk about that movement some. So where else is this fight being fought right now?
I think, unless we're missing something, we've had 41 states take up some version of right to repair. Everything from an ag-only bill to a medical-only bill to to an appliance-only bill. We had one of those in New Hampshire, if I recall correctly. So the variety, there's a lot to the movement, in the sense of, if it's got a chip in it, you probably can't fix it. So as soon as people wise up to that, they say, well, that makes no sense to me. And they do, as legislators do, they like to copy the success of other states. So we've had a lot of bills filed that the legislator didn't even contact us. They probably didn't even hear of us, but they heard about the bill in some other state and they copied that bill. So, so we expect there's going to be a fair amount of copying going on as legislators speak to each other. And I think they will find the fact that the bill actually passed in a significant state and in a significant way to be very encouraging. And I think some of those bills that didn't move fully in this past session, either because it was a short session or they didn't have the right number of sponsors, they're going to move fast. I think we're going to see an accelerating pace of completed bills over the next year. And I think the manufacturers are going to find it extremely difficult to cope with the variations, because every lawyer I've ever met has pride of authorship, and they all want to put their mark on it, every bit of legislation. So no matter what we suggest, they're all going to be different.
And just to get a little granular with it, legislation is currently pending in Pennsylvania and in Massachusetts, and in Minnesota. If they decide to come into special session, we passed the House right to repair language through the House, but the Senate was unwilling to take that up. And then the other thing is, we're hoping that Congress actually has some hearings on right to repair very soon. And, one of them could be in the judiciary, which is chaired by, New York Representative Jerry Nadler. So it's a big signal to, everyone who's working on this issue, that it's, this is something that it has a lot of momentum behind it. And we expect that to translate to the different ways in which stuff is hard to fix because of what manufacturers are doing. And there's multiple policy things that we're trying to get done. But this is, we think we've long felt this was the biggest piece. We need the parts, the tools, and the information. And then increasingly there'll be some other tweaks that we need to do. But so if you live in Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or Minnesota, you should totally, go to repair.org and find your state and take action, because we still have a chance before the clock runs out in those other states to get something going.
Yeah, if you're a manufacturer right now, it's almost like continue to fight this legislation doesn't make sense. If I were a manufacturer, I'd be focusing on is, how do I build the best possible repair experience? Lean into this as an opportunity. You're playing catch up. Okay, fine. But how do we build the best possible experience for people to maintain their products over the years, and really use this as an opportunity to lean in and differentiate, create a better repair experience for people than the minimum baseline.
So what can people who aren't in states with pending legislation do to help?
Well, Congress is everybody in America.
Mm-hmm.
Take action. We have a couple bills in Congress. John Tester in the Senate has a farm right to repair bill that would cover, a gap that's actually in the New York bill by giving farmers the right to repair. And we have another right to repair bill that we're really excited about, which removes the copyright restrictions on repair. If you didn't know, you can be a criminal under copyright law for fixing something you own. That's ridiculous, and we need to fix that. And we need to make it easy for people to make repair tools without violating copyright law, because repair is not a crime.
More granularly, if I didn't say that correctly, we're only halfway through a year. There's going to be a big election in the midterms, and whole new sets of legislators are going to show up in January. And the honest to goodness time to do all this advocacy work is not in January. It's between when people are running for office and when they're elected and before they sit down. So this is a prime time opportunity for anybody that wants to influence what's going to happen in their state starting in January to get involved today. And that usually starts with a phone call. Emails are just not, there's so much spam and so much junk in emails. They don't cut through as well as a phone call. But if you're a constituent and you want to meet with your legislator, you just pick up the phone and call, and you will get a meeting. So there's a lot of ways to influence what happens in your state, and it's a really good time to do it.
And the conversation's a lot easier now. As New York did it, why don't we?
You got it.
And I think the other thing you can do, right, is you can support the Repair Association, repair.org. This, they are the ones who have brought this coalition together that has built the winning formula that made it happen in New York. So, if you want to join at a small business level, just as a personal level, right, that can help us continue to push forward and deliver more wins on this front.
Yeah, one of the things, we say this has been really hard. We've been, talking to legislators as a group. We've had our folks writing in. Consumer Reports has had folks write in. All of that probably would not have been sufficient to get over the finish line if we hadn't had the money to hire professionals in Albany, New York, to help as well. We had to bring everything to bear because we show up in town and Apple hires the most expensive lobbyists there are to stop us. And so we have to, hire people who have relationships. So we're indebted to all of the partners that we worked with along the way to make this happen.
And because we didn't mention it, I got to give a shout out to President Biden for signing the executive order and the Federal Trade Commission for coming out with a bunch of support for Right to Repair. The Federal Trade Commission was a big part of the working out the details in the legislation in New York. And their expertise and credibility smoothed a lot of the uncomfortable feelings that some lawmakers had that they were biting off more than they could chew. So, and again, none of that happens at the federal level if we don't have all these people engaged at the local level.
Yeah, so you had a bipartisan unanimous report from the Federal Trade Commission telling their staff to work with states. The Federal Trade Commission then worked with the New York staff to craft and refine the bill. And then we had Representative Fahey in the Assembly and Senator Breslin on the Senate side working, fearlessly, tirelessly. Rep Fahey was up all night last night talking with folks, working to build that consensus. That 145-1 vote, that's not an accident. That is Representative Fahey and all of our allies in Albany working their absolute butts off, talking to people, working through every single, obstacle point that Apple and others had thrown up to try to stop it. This is a huge, massive amount of work, and we're incredibly grateful for all of our friends that helped get it over the finish line.
I'll add that if you haven't seen some of the social media from Member Fahey, she said to me, it was so valuable. She said, "This is the most important bill I've ever worked on. This bill impacts more people than anything I've ever done." And I just totally love that, because that's been driving all of us, is that this is work that doesn't impact one of us or even one business. When I talk with legislators in New York, I say, this impacts all 19 million of us. Nobody loses in this bill. If somebody has the option to repair something competitively, they get the benefit of the competition that exists. The prices are capped by competition. The service quality it comes about because of competition. These are all things that help everybody, whether they want to go to the Apple store or not. The fact that they have an option makes everything better.
We have a friend who's joined us. Hey, Louis, how's it going?
How are you?
We're doing great. We're doing better than great. This is a phenomenal day. We're all just super ecstatic. This is a big moment for all of us. And so wanted to say thank you for all of your awesome work along the way. This is something that all of us are more powerful than any of us alone.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what the next challenge is going to be. I think it's definitely nice after 7 years of losing nonstop to finally get a chance for it to actually be voted on, much less actually win. The next steps up ahead are manufacturers challenging it in court, which is going to be fun. After that's done is going to be all the ways they're going to try and weasel around it by saying, Well, our actual authorized repair service, they only get access to this $999 part for the $1,000 device, opposed to focusing on the actual refurbishing center that's doing all the work for them. And like, so there's still challenges up ahead, but it's fun to win.
Absolutely. I mean, it feels like it's been loss after loss after loss, right? We've lost in 41 states in a row or something. So winning in Colorado this week and then New York today just feels really good. It's going to feel good for you having this be New York, your stomping grounds.
Yeah, my ex-home state. Leaving just in.
Maybe this is a reason to stick around.
But there's some irony there. But yeah, I'm happy to see it actually get there.
Well, I'm glad we got you just before we were closing out, Lewis. I think we're coming up at the end of time here. And my final question for everyone, I know Lewis has a lot of great answers too. But I know you all are all fixers, and I want to hear about some repair wins, things that you've fixed recently that you're proud of.
As we're all sitting here thinking, I am in the midst of a repair right now. I have a Makita power drill that when you pull the trigger, smoke comes out, which is fantastic. It does it repeatedly. It's really great. So I need to turn it from a smoke gun. And Makita actually sells parts. So I was able to buy the part. The motor armatures had worn out, and I got it. And then I tried to put it back together, and I didn't have a good enough schematic. So I'm close. I'm halfway there.
I recently fixed. I don't understand why people buy like some of this audio equipment. You can get like amazing audio equipment for like almost nothing. And I got an old Yamaha amp, and it wasn't sounding good. And I was able to take it apart, clean it up. It was mostly just dust and dirt in the contacts, but I was able to get a much better sound out of it for free. And it's also great to have a music player that doesn't collect and sell data on what music I'm listening to somebody. It's just an amplifier.
There's a MacBook
Go ahead, Lewis.
There's a MacBook that always sends 12 volts to the NAND, which is the SSD, and destroys your data every time there is corrosion on this one particular chip. And 99% of the time that my chief technician, Paul, has to fix this machine, even when he replaces the power chip, it doesn't matter because the SSD is dead. So it's a no fix. And I did one on live stream recently that had corrosion on that, the CPU and the GPU, and it worked perfectly fine afterwards. And he was cursing at the screen in the chat window. And I don't know, there was something kind of, I have so far a 100% success rate of me being lucky to get the ones where the NAND actually works afterwards. And I always find those fun.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah. On his, can he upgrade the NAND at the same time? If you have to swap it out, can you go bigger?
I've never even tried to be honest with you, because I know they have the T2 chip and encryption on that. I can't get those chips new. You can only take them off of donors. And most of the time the donors are in the junk pile because they have a dead NAND to begin with. So once that point has come, it's like, go to Apple, unfortunately. But if the NAND is not dead, then, we just fix the power circuit and that's good.
I am much more of a amateur repairer, but I was pretty psyched when I got an iFixit kit, replaced my iPhone 7 battery. It's about a year and a half old now, so it's time for a new one. But holding on to this thing for dear life, I'm not ready to upgrade to the iPhone 13, 15, 22, whatever comes out next.
I do right now. I'm fixing up an entire dilapidated house. So I'm doing fixing of a very different kind right now. My big thrill was I got to jack the house up, replace the completely destroyed and partially missing mud sill and band joist. I'm feeling very, very proud of myself.
That's a great diverse set of repair wins. So.
Yep.
Well, thank you, everybody. This was great. And what a wonderful day for the Right to Repair movement.
Yeah, we're not done. We're coming for you, farmers. We're going to help you out. And we're going to make sure Apple sells whatever those TSL, whatever chips are to Lewis. I'm not going to stop till you can get those damn chips.
There you go.
If you haven't already, go find your state at repair.org.
And thank you so much for all of you for all your help and for taking the time. We all really
Right.
appreciate it.
Thank you.